1654 Society has a website. I've seen it.
What about the American Indian Museum? Does that have?
That I've actually not looked at. Chris, do you know much about that?
They
certainly have
do
a
a
website.
lot with the local, the Algonquin
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But again, that's we met early on with John Hayworth, and he was very interested in what we were doing. He's the executive director, I think, of the Indian Museum. So clearly, we go back to all of these museums and ask them how do they, now that exist. At the time we didn't exist when we were talking to them. I think we should be able to develop new relationships.
The American Indian Museum is in the fort.
It's in the fort.
Yeah.
It is the fort.
Does anyone know whether anything was ever found when they built the customs house there?
I heard Joel knows. It's part of the wall.
From the construction guys, there are stories.
Yeah, that's
The most vivid descriptions came when they built the slurry wall for the expansion of the World Trade Center area in the 70s. And that slurry, and all the heavy construction on the shoreline uses these European slurry walls where they trench wet cement. And when they did those deep trenches, they consistently came up with 17th, 18th century style. None of it codified, none of it controlled, and none of it preserved. So we have secondary, tertiary accounts from the operators. At Pearl Street, we found not only the street, the shellman, and the warehouse of Moses, but they demolished across the street. And for 2 hours, I got in there, and the actual original dock was preserved right on the edge there. And then they glowed.
Yeah.
So we have some photographs of that. That's it.
We had a similar thing in Albany when they put the parking garage in. They were doing construction. They found 3 generations of docks going back to the Dutch period, right up to the Revolution and beyond. And it's all safely under a parking garage now. Future generations. Right next to the University Center, or the Central.
That was Karen's.
Karen Hartkin, yeah. It's sad, sad. And like Len said, we were talking about this, if they had only had time to go out a little bit further beyond to see what the ships had dropped when they were anchored there, probably incredible stuff. The same thing happened when they put the New York State Thruway in the early 50s. They went through one Indian village after another. My uncle, who's a farmer up there, Milk Station was right there by Canajoharie. This is up at Indian Castle in Little Falls, the original Canajoharie. And he said they were digging into all kinds of stuff, but nobody said anything.
That's what happened with the burial ground in Manhattan.
Yeah. Yeah. No concern. No concern. We keep it quiet. And this is what they do in Albany. You've got to keep it quiet because once the public finds out about it, then there's an uprising, like when they dug into the rum distillery recently. They opened it up to the public, figuring a few people would come. They had 2,000 people there one Sunday afternoon looking at it. I think it frightened the city fathers.
Chris, could you comment a little further? Chris,
No, I guess that's why sometimes I'm accused of being a little too exuberant, but that's why you have to be exuberant about 17th century history. If you play it too close to the cuff, they're going to say, okay, Charlie doesn't agree with Chris, we're not going to do anything. That's the way it works.
The African burial ground.
Well, the burial ground, I just mentioned it because someone had met Sarah, what's my girl's name? Sarah Roloff.
Roloff.
It's interesting. Sarah, that's her property. It becomes, she's got more of a connection historically with the Native Americans. My mom used to tell me that the natives were buried in Manhattan, right? It never even clicked on me. I think there's sort of a convergence of stories here. But Sarah owns the burial ground. She's got a relationship with the natives. Sometime around 1670 or 1680, Oratomi in New Jersey gives her 2,000 square acres of land. Maybe it's because she's watching over their burial ground. She has her house with Hans Kiersnet over on Pearl Street, and it looks like there's maybe some herbs. The natives are coming to Pearl. The natives are doing a lot of trading in that area. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but there are real connections here.
Yeah.
Real connections. But if you don't really kind of say, yeah, this is important, they're not going to take this.
No, it all
blows away. Bulldozer will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charles.
This is a trivial matter. We've been staring at this map for cartographical purposes of propaganda and misinformation, which is what we're talking about here today. The extent to which the land of the Netherlands was pushed east. Actually, before it included Cape Cod.
The Cap from the Malabar, as it was called,
but by this time,
and then pushed further east.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that the other thing that's noticeable is that New Jersey misinformation persists from one map to another, like Island of California, is that New Jersey's an island. And that's you can tell that goes on for so long in this Janssen-Bishop series, and for several more years after this.
Well, the Dutch knew it wasn't because of Kleintjes up here, who was captured by the Indians. He and 3 other guys in 1614 were heading out into this area to look for mineral deposits and so forth, gold most likely. They're captured by the Indians, and they're taken down here, and they're ransomed the next year by a Dutch ship. So they knew about the river configurations.
Yeah,
the English don't know anything about the river configurations.
Well, obviously, is this a Fisher or a Janssen? I can't tell you.
It's a Janssen.
It is still Janssen.
Yeah.
Obviously, these are being done in the Netherlands, and the plates are just copied, and it takes forever before a piece of information like this gets across and gets processed, so it's in a new edition of the map, which of course contrasts enormously to what we're talking about, where we can change the content and the context and the shape and everything, like bingo.
The best map to use is the Adrian Punderdunk version, which is the original of this, basically.
Yes.
Which is like 1651.
It seems to me that these maps, I was at this 5 Dutch Days event at the map room in the New York Public Library. They have a GIS person in that room. And I think probably we can show layers on top of the GIS platform of these various maps around the New Amsterdam area, but also probably broadly, because if we go far enough out to the state of New York that has a whole digital map of the state of New York, we should be able to overlay these, to a certain degree, these kind of maps into our platform.
Fordham University has a very important collection of Dutch maps. It's on our website, the whole collection.
You have this book, maps of Manhattan, I think, but again, nobody's ever tried to put it on.
It's a very exciting thing to do. It's not trivial, as I'm sure Lena understands after doing it in Excel plan. Rectifying the Excel plan so that it works. It's not trivial.
But even if you just have the image.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, we could go up the Hudson, I mean, that's the connection between Manhattan and Albany. Go up the Hudson and visit these, and get Len working there. He's got a...
The guy like his quick.
Maps like these are very difficult, as I think you have much more success with maps of Manhattan, such as the 1639 map that Reyes, I think to really convert it to a digital image. Maps like these, there are too many inaccuracies.
Charlie, is there anything like the patroonship that existed in Rensselaer Square? Is there anything like that occurring anywhere else?
Well, Pavonia